This episode of Unscripted is sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a no jitter energy drink mix that doesn't have that energy drink taste, and it gives me the energy to do YouTube and Twitch. You can get 10% off your order at WGG with code CrookedDoesStuff. There's a link in the description down below. Thanks, Dubby, for sponsoring this episode, and here's Unscripted. Hello everyone, I am Crooked and I do stuff, and this is Unscripted, the series where I take a completely unscripted look at a game and give it a 1 through 10 rating. And today we are playing Mega Man X4 for the PlayStation. This is regarded by many as one of the best Mega Man games there are, because you get to play as this guy right here. But we're going to take a look at the X side of Mega Man X4. For anyone who has played this, you've probably played a Zero. And that's why you think it's a good game. I'm here to tell you, it's probably not as good as you think it is. So it has story, and yeah. It has a lot of story. Like a lot of story. A lot of story. So it's also loud. So we're gonna just start off and go. So whoever you pick at the beginning, that's who you are through the entirety of the game. You don't get to switch like you did in Mega Man X3. You don't get to be like, I want to play Zero for half this level. Nope, you get to play as X. Or you get to play as Zero. That's it. You don't get to play as both. And honestly, I think that's fine. I really do. So let's address the first part of the game that I think is honestly a step down. There's a lot more sound effects in this game, which sound effects aren't bad. But every time Mega Man does something, he talks. And he says, like, shake, shake, or whatever, whenever you have a charge shot that goes off. The opening level, it doesn't have a boss until after you get through, like, the opening part of it. And it has story. The previous games were kind of good about not having to tell you every last bit of story. But, you know, a game can't just be bad because it tells story, or because it has a bad sound effect. No, of course not. So, let's get into it. Besides just the sound, which, I mean, the music is good. None of it's anything that's going to stick with you, like in the other Mega Man X games. I can tell you the name of soundtracks from X, X2, and X3. I mean, Toxic Seahorse is regarded as one of the best soundtrack songs of all time, and that's from Mega Man X3. But this one, it doesn't have anything super memorable, except for that big warning sign that appears at the end of every level when you get to a boss. So, like the others, you know, big boss battle, and this one's a bit different because you can die to this boss. If you die to the bosses in the older Mega Man X games, you just missed out on how to play at the beginning, probably. But this one, no, he does significant damage. This game was definitely designed for people who have played the previous games and understand the controls very well. Speaking of controls, it hasn't changed from Mega Man X to Mega Man X2 to X3 to X4. We have Colonel here, who's, you know, a guy. There is slight differences. So when you hit R1, L1, you change between your abilities. As you know from previous episodes, if you unlock a weapon, you can change through it with R and L. Now it's R1 and L1. I don't believe R2 and L2 actually do anything. I might be wrong. There's a lot of story here. They introduce every single character. and give a little backstory for him, which, I mean, there were hints of it before, so it's not terrible that it does this. None of them are super memorable at the end of the day. I can't tell you the name of any of them except for maybe Cyber Peacock. Yeah, so Web Spider is one. This is when the naming got kinda even more generic than it was, because, I mean, yeah, we have Chill Penguin and Overdrive Ostrich, but it got a little bit more generic in this era. L2 and R2 don't do anything. Square fires, so does triangle. Now, why would you need 2 fire buttons? Well, once you have an ability, once you have an ability, you can hit L or square to use that ability's weapon, or you can hit triangle to use your X-Buster still, so you're not wasting energy on every single shot like you would in previous games. You still have the Dr. Light capsules where you can go in and you can get armor. This game introduces what's known as the Falcon armor for X, which these boots are kind of cool. They give you the ability to hover and air dash, if I remember right. Unlike in previous games, it doesn't give you, any sort of an explanation about what exactly you're doing. So they kind of took that away from you and make it a little bit harder to understand what exactly is going on. Mega Man feels weak in this game. Like in previous games, you couldn't be super wonton and go through everything, but so many enemies here feel like they just take damage. And there's nothing that just kind of dies in one hit like in the older games. Okay, as I shoot something, dies in one hit. But it's not at the same level that it used to be. You don't feel like an awesome robot that's went through this as many times as X has at this point. You just feel kind of like you're a robot and the protagonist of a game, because, well, really, that's all X is in this one. So it still gives you, the leg parts really easily, and there are other parts that you get to pick up later. For the other parts, the Falcon Buster, if I remember right, kind of shoots a piercing shot, which is cool, except it doesn't have that big effect like all of the shots from X2 or X2 and X3 had. But overall, it controls pretty much the same as the other ones. Sound-wise, it doesn't sound as good. And then let's address, the other elephant in the room, the graphics. I wouldn't exactly call it an elephant in the room because, well, the game looks good. I've never met anyone who said that Mega Man X4 doesn't look good. Because, well, it does look good. Like, this is kind of what we imagined X looking like when we were all kids playing that for the first time. And then we actually get it looking this good for Mega Man X4. And that's really where the good ends. The stages here are not nearly as well designed as any of the previous games. They're very generic and bland, and they're just kind of like go through the level and get through it and you'll be fine. There's a few hidden things, like if I had the fire attack, I could get through that. And I believe there's a sub-tank hidden behind one of those somewhere in this level. But it's not really super apparent where it is. They do introduce that new type of energy that will restore your health to full. It's kind of nice. It's almost like a checkpoint. There's also saves in this, so you don't have to worry about remembering a password through a password system. Another definite improvement. When we get to the bosses, they all have noises, and they're really, really annoying. You're gonna see it with Boss Spider here. It's just something where you want him to shut up the entire fight. Yeah, that noise, get used to it, because you're gonna hear it a lot. That one too. And again, you take damage. Bosses don't. Although, if you have the boss's weakness, you tear through them pretty much instantly. I think with every boss, it takes maybe 4 shots to completely wipe out their health bar, if you're using their weakness. Another problem with it is, so, in the original games, you kind of did this thing where your thumb holds down the Y button, and then you can kind of roll over A and B to slide jump while charging. Some people change the controls to not do it that way, but that's how the other ones of us learned. With this, because it introduces X as another way to fire the Mega Buster, you can't do that as much. So you can kind of change it to where X is it, but it feels really weird if you're coming from the older games. But with slide jumping or dash jumping, as important as it is, it's a mechanic that you need to get used to doing. If you can't dash jump in a Mega Man X game, you're going to be struggling pretty hard. So it's going to be a lot of change for someone who's used to the game. And, well, I don't think it's a good change. So, with all that being said, and, you know, the fact that it's just not as memorable, the levels just aren't as good, the bosses are really, really annoying, and all the new sound effects that are just there to have sound effects, I can't give X4, at least as X, any sort of great rating. It's still a pretty decent game, but it feels like a step down from the other Mega Man X games. So, with that being said, and the incredible difficulty of it compared to the other ones, because it's a lot harder as X than it is as Zero. I'm gonna give Mega Man X4 a 7 out of 10 as X. Now, the thing is, I've been playing this entire time as X. And there's another half to this game. So, on the next episode, I'm actually going to be going through playing as Zero. This is going to be the first 2-parter because there are 2 main characters and their gameplay experience is vastly different. But, comment down below, let me know when you played X4, if you did. Did you play as X or Zero? If you haven't yet, who would you rather play as? Like this video if you enjoyed what you saw. Hit that subscribe button so that way you never miss out on an episode of Unscripted. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that way you'll be notified whenever an episode of Unscripted comes out. And with all that being said, I do want to thank you for watching. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye!